Hi everybody, new video from Big Apple Pipes. This second part of the interview to Per Jensen. As I mentioned before in the previous video, this time we will focus more on pipe tobacco. So we'll talk about a little bit about the trends in the market, the curing techniques, and so on. So a lot of technical information. So if you are a pipe tobacco nerd like I am, you will find it very, very interesting. So as I said before, let me know in the comment what you think about this episode. If you enjoy what we said, anything else, any suggestion you may have, and I hope you will enjoy it. What is I have these questions, and two questions actually I wanted to ask you, and I think that many people may be interested. First of all, are you seeing new trends of smokers, meaning that, for instance, for many years English mixture were the biggest hit, but now maybe the taste is switching otherwise, as much as I believe that most of the pipe tobacco sold is the aromatic, I would assume. But still, do you see any change in the taste of smokers?
Yeah, and I do. And you're completely right when you say that, for instance, English mixtures with Latakia, that is perhaps 10% of all tobacco sold. And we know from different surveys that have been made in the history that about 80% of all pipe smokers are smoking aromatics, more or less, but could be a little bit aromatic or it could be a heavy aromatic. But it has some flavor to it, top flavor. And this is where I made the interview in writing with a Spanish pipe smoker. And I think something got lost in translation, because on different forums I saw that I was defending our 80% aromatics.
Okay.
No, I was not. I was just saying that is what is. We can also see it. Yeah, we can also see it in our production. But there is a slow trend towards non-aromatics.
Okay.
And non-aromatics doesn't mean English mixtures. It just means tobacco without top flavor.
Okay.
Where you taste the tobacco itself. Normally we have three taste skippers in pipe tobacco. We have the raw tobacco, we have the casing, and we have the top flavor. And more likes tobacco without top flavor. So it's just raw tobacco and casing. And that was actually the reason why I invented the H8 family.
Yeah.
A line of tobaccos with no top flavor. Just tobacco and a little bit casing. And
casing
just
is normal.
Minimum as we. Yeah, but we need to add something. Because if you smoke raw tobacco itself, it's very seldom a pleasure.
Yeah, I know. I know. Many people, many smokers don't know that, but it is actually very important.
Yeah.
Actually, most of the people learn it when they try to cultivate tobacco by themselves at home. And of course, you think that it's just about cultivating, harvesting, drying out the leaves, and then maybe you cure them maybe in your oven, and then you try to smoke them, and then they are unsmokable, because it actually goes much more into that to make something smokable.
For instance, if they are growing and curing Virginia tobaccos, meaning and the sugar stays in the tobacco. It's a natural part of the growing plant, and it stays in the tobacco due to this flue curing, a very quick and brutal curing within 5 days. Then the sugar stays in the tobacco. But if you smoke it and you don't have any casing, the only thing you have is tobacco itself and this load of sugar. And that will be, no matter how it's done, it will be bitey. And then you have to be very proud of what you have done to be able to enjoy it. Otherwise you would say, no, it's not worth it. And that's, I see more and more people growing their own tobacco, and I see more and more people stopping growing their own tobacco.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of techniques, a lot of experience you need to have to be able to produce tobacco.
That is smokable.
Yeah. If we are talking about secrets in the tobacco business, there's only two things that's a secret. That is the casing and the top flavor.
Okay, it's
the
not
rest
about.
is no. How you steam it to make it flexible.
Also that one, how you steam it to make, for instance, stuffed Virginia. Isn't that a secret as well? Because the UK, it's very hard to find the same stuffed Virginia across brands. For instance, that's just an example. Okay, maybe that's. I don't want to get too technical. I know that you can talk for hours about how to stuff Virginia.
I would say let's stay at the steaming because it's a little bit more simple. We have a lot of tobacco in our warehouses. They are dried down to around about 6-7% humidity, which means they can stay there for decades without rotting or doing anything else. But it also means we have to make the tobacco flexible before we start working with it. So that is the first step. And we have a big drum where the tobacco comes through, and then we add normal steam, meaning boiling water. We create steam, and the steam we apply to the tobacco. So after that, the tobacco is flexible, we can work with it.
Okay.
So this sounds very, very simple, and I know one of your questions was also, how can we assure that one blend always tastes as it always have done?
The consistency,
Yes, and we have a problem because the wine farmers, they just print a year on the bottle.
Okay,
And even if you have the same producer, two bottles, and they're two different years, you will know there's a taste difference.
Of course.
Not a big one, perhaps, but there's a taste difference.
There is, of course.
Yes, but you and me accept that as consumers because of the year. A pipe smoker doesn't accept that.
I actually try to say that in my videos much, because very often you read about, this brand is not like it used to be, and blah, blah, blah. And I always say, you always forget that tobacco is a plant, it's something natural. So as much as a brand tries to keep the product consistent, there is so much going on, and you don't know how a harvest went, and it can be different. So as much as they try to tweak to keep the flavor consistent, it's not fair but it's not actually not fair from a product perspective. I mean, as a consumer, to expect that would be always the same, because that means that you're smoking or you're consuming whatever the product is, something that is very artificial, that you can always get the same. So that's something that actually is very important, I think.
Yes, and you got a good point. So how can we minimize that? And we do it by, for instance, when we start a production of a pipe tobacco, then first we make the Virginia batch.
Okay.
And the Virginia batch is not just one Virginia we take from the warehouse, put through the steam drum, and start producing it. No. When we make a batch, I can give a very good example. Mixture, Scottish blend, contains 17 different Virginias.
Wow.
17 different. From different part of the world. Because if one part do have a problem, could be a hurricane, too much rain, too little rain, whatever. Then we have in our warehouse, we have enough for 1 year production. So we can jump 1 year and wait for the next supply. But 17, meaning at a certain time, we don't have any more of a specific tobacco. We have to replace it. And our guys at the raw tobacco, they know exactly this tobacco you replace with that. Because they have bought it like that. So we take 1 out of 17 and replace it. And the replacement is 95, 98% the same in taste, in looking, and so on. So nobody will notice.
Yeah.
That is how you can help nature. Like when you're buying a coffee in a supermarket, a pouch of coffee. It's also beans from different parts, so they can replace one with another.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because your brain tells you when you look at the brand name.
Yeah.
The taste is going to be like that.
Exactly.
It's my favorite taste, so I buy that.
Yeah.
But they are helping nature a little bit as well.
Of course. Yeah. I remember when I visited the Jack Daniel's factory years ago in Tennessee, and it's actually surprised me because as much as this is a big name, it's also very artisanal way of working. And they actually mentioned that they have this warehouse full of those barrels, and they just stay there. But they mentioned this: when we bought Jack Daniel's, the standard label, we take the content of each of the barrels, because one has been sitting in a corner, one has been sitting in another corner, so the taste will not be the same if you just take one barrel. So to try to keep it uniform, we do a blend of all of them, and that's how you get it. So and it's exactly the same.
Even from the same year of production.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was just a matter if that is a little bit hotter stored than this one.
Yeah.
Then we mix it, then you get a uniform taste.
Yeah.
And that is, I would say, it's a gift that we have to do it like that. Yeah. But it's also a curse, because you as a pipe smoker are thinking, well, I have been smoking mixture now for 5 years, and it's still the same taste.
I always say you should be worried. Yeah, exactly. I actually said clearly in a recent video I made about the Golden Glow from Samuel Gawith, because they tend to have a lot of variation. It's a small house; they are not big producers. And I said exactly the same. If you smoke a tobacco that is always smoking and tasting the same, you should not really appreciating that. It's kind of the opposite, because you should be, I wouldn't say worried because it's too big of a word, but a little bit. There should be something in your mind, like a little, light that comes out and say that's not entirely natural or entirely fine, normal. So it's a different kind of normality that we actually lost, because we're used to get everything the same, even with most of the food we eat or any product that we get, especially electronic, that's purely artificial. Of course, you expect always the same, but that's actually not the normal, let's say.
No, and I understand what you're saying, but from my point of view, to be what I would say a professional company, we have to make sure that the taste doesn't vary.
Of course, you're right. You have to guarantee a level of consistency. Of course, that's your brand. That's what the brand does. Yeah.
Yes, because if you have a tobacco where you say, well, this batch is not that good.
Yeah.
When do you know when to buy it again?
Absolutely, that's true. But it also it's part of the reputation that you build, and the appreciating a certain brand for something. Of course, you expect a level of consistency. Absolutely, that's totally true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to have Virginias that taste like Kentucky and that should be normal, but a little variation should be said. Okay, that's okay. It's normal.
Yeah. I get your point, and that is also when we are doing, or we have started doing in the start in the United States, but limited editions. Mm-hmm. Where sometimes you only make this blend once.
Yeah.
So you have nothing you can compare it with.
Yeah.
It is as it is.
Yeah.
And if it's a terrific tobacco, you can just sit and be a little bit sad that you can't buy it again. Mm-hmm. But for us blenders, that is a fantastic challenge. to create something, and you just have to do it once. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to make it a success.
Yeah, So yeah, you just focus on whatever you have in your hand, the ingredients you have, the work that you can do right now.
Yeah.
So exactly, yeah, that's a great work, yeah.
And I don't have to think about it has to taste the same in 20 years.
Yeah.
So don't use anything that cannot be had in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely out of the case.
And regarding
that is where.
No, please go ahead.
No, we have our owner, Henrik Hallberg, today.
Yeah.
He's also the chief of buying leaf.
Ah, okay. Nice.
And that's a very good position to have the owner. Because bookkeeping is never asking, didn't you buy too much? Mm-hmm. Well, they shouldn't ask. It is money. Mm-hmm. And he also, from time to time, buys something where he say, well, that is exceptional.
Beautiful.
I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah.
but it's exceptional. I buy it.
Yeah.
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 And you have to think about, as a product developer, mm-hmm. when you take your shopping cart and you go to his corner where all these tobaccos has been stored.
Yeah.
And you can just take down the best of the best.
Yeah.
In his eyes. And create something. That's fun. That's really fun.
No, but I think it's also fun to have a owner of the company that also has the knowledge and the interest in the product.
Yeah.
Because, very often this is lost because, of course, with generation in generation, maybe, you have people that, they just, they are born with it and they didn't choose to be in that position. So maybe they don't care. It's normal. But, having an owner that actually cares a lot, it's very good. So it's also again the same thing about passion and loving the product that we were mentioning just a few minutes ago.
Yes, and Henrik was born into it, son of Jörn Hallberg, the inventor of mixture, and Jörn Hallberg was a very practical man.
Okay.
Meaning, let your tongue do the work. Let the tongue tell you what should be changed here. And he was not sitting behind a desk and just leading the company. He was working as well. And Henrik have been taught in that. And his traveling, well, he's now getting 70, so the numbers of travels that he does every year,
of course,
is getting fewer and fewer.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he was traveling to Brazil, to United States, to African countries, to India, Bangladesh, the Philippines, and buying tobacco.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah,
and that is also actually a lot of knowledge, because together with the knowledge, the expertise of learning how to blend, there is also the big expertise on recognizing the quality of a tobacco, of a harvest.
Yeah.
That's a lot of knowledge that it's not written anywhere. It's not something that you can just study somewhere. And it's a lot of experience and it's a lot of knowledge that you can just simply pass on eventually if you have somebody that is keen on learning it. Otherwise, it's something that would just disappear.
Yeah, and the world market for pipe tobacco is perhaps 4%. That is a level where the most raw tobacco sellers would say pipe tobacco is not of interest.
Yeah.
But they take it as a quality stamp if they're selling to the pipe tobacco industry. Because we are not like the cigarettes.
Exactly.
How high is the sugar? How much nicotine? That's all that cares. How it looks doesn't matter. We cut it, we wrap it in paper, nobody sees it.
Yeah.
But for the pipe tobacco people, we have very high quality demands on the look of the tobacco.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So they always take the best looking and put it aside until Henrik and his guys are visiting them. Then they take what they want, and the rest they can sell to the cigarette companies.
Yeah, and I also assume that they would also get a higher price, I would assume, because of the quality, the selection they can do.
Of course, yeah.
And how? Sorry, one question I had, which is something I'm very curious about. What is, for your knowledge, at the moment, the tobacco that is actually the hardest to find, to source, beside the Rustica, which I know it's very rare and very specific? What are other tobacco that are becoming rarer and rarer?
Well, you mentioned both of them. Perique, of course, or at least to get the same quality of Perique from year to year.
Okay.
That's getting a little bit hard.
Is it?
And the second one is...
okay, we will talk about it. Yeah. And the second one?
The second one is Latakia.
Oh, really?
It's getting harder and harder to source.
Is it true, this was on a recent article on smoking pipes, that it's just basically one factory of Latakia, which is in Cyprus, and it's owned by a Turkish company, and it's just them producing Latakia, and that's it?
Yeah, and they have a big problem, because some years the demand for Latakia is high, because when our storage is empty, we buy more.
Yeah.
But they have the problems that some years they hardly sell anything. Okay. And then the next year they can sell everything they do. But for the years where they don't sell anything, they cut back production.
Of course. Yeah, because they
want
to
what you have next year.
Yeah.
So what you have for the next year is then smaller than you had this year.
Yeah. I see.
And that can be a problem.
Okay.
I know there are some problems getting Latakia. And we are looking everywhere to find storage of Latakia which we can get our hands on.
Okay.
But that will, for the future, that will be
more and more in demand. Okay.
Yes.
And what about Perique? I know. Yeah, please finish.
No, also to get the right quality.
Okay.
Because you can always smoke some Oriental leaf, but it would be nice that it's a good quality.
Of course. Yeah, actually, I was expecting you telling me that some kind of Oriental would be much harder to find.
Yeah, but still depends what they are building or what they are growing in Cyprus.
Okay.
And the seed in Cyprus should be the Izmir out of Turkey. But again, you have another soil, another climate, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So it's I wouldn't call it an Izmir Latakia.
Yeah, of course.
But I can only say that they're getting, or we are getting more and more problems getting it.
Okay.
Even though we are not the big guys using a lot of Latakia.
Okay. And what about
there are companies that use a lot.
What about the Perique? You mentioned that it's becoming difficult, but I had the impression, thanks to the fact that the factory in Louisiana, in St. James, was purchased by Mark Ryan, that it was actually fixed. Let's say the sourcing of Perique, but it's not as easy still.
I'm not up to date of what is happening with the Perique.
Okay.
I know that Mark Ryan have closed some of his businesses.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it inflicts the Perique.
I see.
But here, I would say tragically, we are saved by the cigarette companies.
Oh, because they do use Perique?
One of the companies, American Spirit, use Perique in one of their cigarettes.
Yeah.
And they have been trying to develop Perique.
Oh, I see.
So there should be another source if Mark Ryan is closing. And I don't know.
Okay, I see.
There are people there that knows a lot more.
Okay.
The amount of Perique that we are using a year is very little. And just a few barrels, then we have enough for 4 years.
Yeah. Actually, one of my questions later on was also when you will start producing a pure Virginia Perique, just because it's one of my favorite kind of tobaccos. but we will get there when we start talking about the HH, which I'm sure many people will like to know more. Do you have any suggestions that you want to give to smokers about how to preserve tobacco and avoid mold? Not that this is a problem with MacBaren, but it can be a product with other brands. But maybe there is some tips that you can share about how just to preserve it at home.
Only a very practical tip, and that would be when you unwrap your tobacco and you find out it's too moist, let it dry.
Oh, okay.
Because molding comes from humidity and high temperatures.
Okay.
If you have both, you have the perfect conditions for mold.
Okay.
So if you dry it a bit down and put it into a glass jar with an airtight lid, then you can keep it for I would more or less say centuries.
Okay.
But that would be the best way to preserve it.
And this is not a question that was on my list, but now came to my mind while we were chatting. Do you have any opinion, theory, whatever it is, about aging tobacco? You know, there are many theories that Virginia gets better, so to keep them and let them ferment, age. Do you have any idea about that? Do you think they're better fresh? That aging is more of a myth than the truth?
No. It's for some tobacco it makes sense. It makes good sense. And for instance, with the Virginias, they will develop for a couple of years, and then more or less the development stops. It's like wine. It also, if you put it in the cellar, it develops. It changes taste a bit. At least the tobacco will get darker over time.
Yeah.
And you will probably experience that the tobacco that you are smoking is a bit milder.
Because I found them sweeter and rounder usually. They develop a lot of sweetness.
Something happens, and again now we are back to the non-scientific, scientifical. But something happens to the sugars. Either they go in connection with something else, or they just slowly disappears.
Oh, okay.
And that is the reason why you experience, if you take a Virginia and smoke it after 2 years in the cellar, that you will experience that one to be a little bit more round than the new one you have bought.
Okay.
Tobacco with a lot of latakia, I would not sell it for long.
Okay.
Because the smokiness of the latakia disappears.
Tends to disappear. Yeah.
So that's I would say that's a no-go.
Yeah, I think from my experience, when I smoke very aged or older English mixture, it's like they tend to, let's say, blend together a lot. While when you smoke a fresh English mixture, you can detect the sweetness of the Virginia base, the smokiness, all the thing. When you smoke a aged English mixture, at least from my experience, it's more of a, let's say, blended, unique flavor, which is good. It's not by any means bad, but it's just less, let's say, reach of different, tones. It's just more a single.
You're not able
to detect.
You're not able to detect the different ones. It's just melded together.
Yeah. That's my experience. Okay, cool.
And that is a bit what we do with hot pressing.
Okay.
It's the same principle.
I see. Nice. Interesting. I remember years ago, now it's kind of disappeared, but there was this trend, a lot of smokers were doing it, were like taking out, some tobacco, they were putting it like in a plate, whatever, and they were leaving it like, 30 seconds, a minute in the microwave oven. Now I don't know if it's still a thing, but it was a trend like 5 or 6 years ago. Many people were thinking that it was going to get better. So maybe it's I wouldn't say it's a hot press, but it's heat.
but it doesn't do the same.
Of course, because you don't have the pressure.
And you don't have the steam.
Okay, that's true. That gives you the moisture. Yeah.
You remove the humidity, and the humidity is one of the factors that help hot pressing.
Okay. Okay.
So you need the pressure, you need humidity to get the hot pressing going.
Okay. Nice.
And in a microwave, you just remove the humidity.
Okay.
So I think they should use a microwave for popcorns. would be much better.
A better use, of course. Okay. I had provocative questions. What does the MacBaren, if you can tell, use to preserve the tobacco in the humidity? And this I'm just saying because I also brought in the questions I sent you. I have a pouch of the 7 Seas tobacco, which is a very popular and easy, inexpensive tobacco, which I purchased like it was 2014. So I took it just by random thing. I found it and I put my hand in the pouch and it was still completely moist. I mean, it was an open pouch. I was surprised. I was like, how can it be so moist after being open for many years? So I was kind of surprised. Do you have any idea about that?
Yeah, I do. Where did you buy it? In Italy?
Yeah.
Or in United States?
No, in Italy. In Italy.
In Italy.
Yeah.
Then it has been a mistake from our side.
Oh, okay.
Because the very humid tobaccos goes to United States where they have no limits.
Oh, I see.
In Europe, we have a limit.
Okay.
Of 5%. Maximum 5% glycerin.
Oh, I see.
Is allowed to apply. And glycerin is a moisture binder. And if you don't find it in tobacco, you find it in your sausage or in the supermarket, wherever. Just to make one thing clear, what we are using in tobacco is all food approved.
Or food grade, yeah.
Yes. There is nothing in tobacco that are just a chemical. It's all on the positive, not on the positive list, but it's on the list from the European Parliament, what is allowed to use.
To use in food.
And it's used in food and it's used in tobacco.
Okay.
Because the tobacco business is working under the food laws. So, and we are not working from the Danish food law.
Okay.
We are taking the German.
Okay.
Because it's a little bit more hard than the Danish one.
Yeah.
So when the Germans start moving, we know we have to move as well.
Okay.
So a big difference from American tobacco to European tobacco is, first of all, American tobacco is very often based on burley. They use a lot of burley tobacco. If you're taking, for instance, Captain Black or something like that, it's burley based. What we tried with the 7 Seas was to make competition to Captain Black.
Okay.
But as we are Europeans and we are Virginia based, and we made the 7 Seas out of Virginia tobaccos.
Okay.
We got a complete other taste, a more, I would say, a more crisp, a more clear taste. Not that is better. That's Captain Black is still a huge brand.
Yeah, it is.
But for the 7 Seas we shipped to United States, we added a lot more glycerin.
Okay.
So that would mean that after 5 years, when you open the pouch, it still feels moist.
Yeah. Yeah, this was actually an open pouch, but it's okay. Yeah. Nice. So it's glycol, as I was imagining.
Yes.
Okay.
Glycerin.
Glycerin. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Or you could call it propylene glycol.
Yes.
I think that's the name for it.
Okay.
And it has the ability. Normally, when you have a pouch of tobacco, it dries out within a year because the humidity evaporates. But this glycerin based, it draws back humidity from the air.
Okay. Oh wow.
So it catches.
So it keeps adding actually.
No, it's not keep adding, but only to the level where glycerin is applied.
Of course.
It doesn't get 100% wet, but it will always feel moist.
Okay, I see. Very interesting.
It has nothing to do with the burning ability.
Okay.
And that's a funny part.
Nice. Do you work, consider now you mentioned the American market, do you work at all with Satliff? Do you work with them?
Yes. I'm responsible for MacBaren
Okay.
marketing-wise in United States.
Oh, okay.
Not for the Sutliff products, but for MacBaren.
Okay. But you work with them on the
Because
product, just exchange ideas on the development, or it's totally separate?
we exchange ideas from time to time, but normally they are doing their own product development.
Okay. Nice. Beautiful.
Because they have a lot of tasters that where we in Europe say, what? Pumpkins? Why do we want to make a tobacco with pumpkin taste?
Yeah, I know.
But in the United States, it's a big one.
Yeah, during the Halloween period, it's everything gets pumpkin taste. So you go to Starbucks, they make the pumpkin coffee. You go to the donuts shop, they have pumpkin donuts. So it's everything. So of course you need also the pumpkin tobacco, but that's it's very local. But it's actually a thing. Everything gets pumpkin taste. Really, everything, not only tobacco.
Yeah, where we are a little bit more conservative in Europe and say, well, there are some tasters that we don't apply to tobacco.
We don't dare.
we don't dare, and we have no. So we say we have no. Yeah, we have no tradition to do it.
That's true. They also, but also I believe it's, and this was also actually a topic that was discussed yesterday in a Facebook group. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the feeling that in Europe it's not as easy to come out with new product. In the United States, it's easy. You can make limited editions. You can make new flavors whenever you want, even for this short period. While in Europe, I mean, if you want to get a new product to the market, I think it's a much longer process in terms of bureaucracy and stuff to get the product approved, and then we have so many different countries. Each market has its own legislation under the big European umbrella. So I think it's a much more complex thing to do. It's not that you can come out just for Halloween with the pumpkin flavor in all European countries and then at the end of November just get rid of it. It's not something that I think is feasible.
No, and also the trade is different. Where United States is very much based on internet.
Okay.
Internet shops.
That's true.
And you have 3, 4, 5 big ones in the United States that perhaps cover 80% of the market. So it's 5 people you have to talk to.
Yeah.
In Europe, you have to talk to, what do we have to talk to? 600 shopkeepers in Germany. I don't know how many in Italy is selling pipe tobacco for as a main business. But that's a lot of people you have to talk to before you achieve distribution.
Exactly.
And in the United States, it's only 5 shops.
Yeah.
And that is why limited editions and so on, it just moves constantly in the United States.
So now
that was a very practical.
Yeah. It's an easier market for so many reasons. Yeah.